This is the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City. This is Kathleen Battle. Known for her distinctive vocal range and tone, she skillfully sings an aria in front of an adoring crowd. However, deep beneath the swelling fermatas and sweeping melodies, a battle was brewing.
In doing the best job that you can, I've read that you're a perfectionist, and you've got a reputation as being difficult.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start where any good story should. The beginning. The early years. Kathleen Deanna Battle was born on August 13, 1948. From Portsmouth, Ohio, Battle was the youngest of 7 children. Kathleen grew up with humble beginnings. Her father was a steelworker, while her mother was an active member of the music department at their local African Methodist Episcopal Church. While attending Portsmouth High School, Kathleen studied music under Charles P. Varney, aka Phil, who later confessed in a 1985 Time magazine article that he had first heard the talented singer sing at the tender age of 8 years old. He described Kathleen as this tiny little thing singing so beautifully, confessing that he told her God had blessed her and she must always sing. During the same interview, music critic Michael Walsh proclaimed Kathleen to be the best coloratura in the world. After high school, Battle was awarded a scholarship to attend the Conservatory of Music at the University of Cincinnati. At this pivotal time, she was introduced to and subsequently studied voice under Franklin Benz. She also worked closely with renowned Italian operatic bass Italo Tahoe. While at the conservatory, Kathleen majored in music education, in which she would later earn her master's. In 1971, she began a teaching career at an inner-city public school in Cincinnati. Yet the determined Kathleen had her sights set on higher ideals. While she wasn't teaching 5th and 6th grade music, she was continuing to study voice privately.
That's right, and I'll be there. And I'll be there. The interesting thing is, for me, the tempo is good as long as the very first phrase isn't heavy.
Yes.
Yeah? That is the
Later, she studied singing with Daniel Farrow in New York, who was also the vocal teacher of other operatic giants such as Evelyn Lear and Thomas Stewart. A star on the rise. Good fortune struck a young Battle when in 1972, during her second year as a teacher, a friend and fellow church choir member excitedly gushed that the conductor Thomas Shippers would be holding auditions in Cincinnati, Ohio. And of course, Kathleen leaped at the opportunity. During her audition, Shippers was so impressed by her heavenly voice that he presented her an offer on the spot. In 1972, Kathleen performed as a soprano soloist in Brahms' German Requiem at the Festival di Due Mondi in Spoleto, Italy. Her performance there on July 9, 1972 marked the beginning of her professional career. In fact, during the next several years, Kathleen would go on to sing in several more orchestral concerts in New York, as well as Los Angeles and Cleveland. In 1973, she was also awarded a grant from the Martha Baird Rockefeller Fund for Music to support her career. And that money was well spent, to say the least, as William Mullen, the managing director of the Santa Fe Concert Association, was on the panel of judges who made the award. In 2004, he recalled, "We would meet monthly listening to up-and-coming concert artists and give money to deserving artists for further study. A very young Kathleen Battle sang for us. The other judges thought her voice was too small, but I thought she had an incredible ability to communicate through music. I talked to the other judges and convinced them to give her a grant. So with that strike of luck and talent, Kathleen Battle was on her way to become a star. Thomas Shippers introduced Kathleen Battle to his fellow conductor, James Levine,
where I would ask you something if you think it's not wrong. Troilos, Zizins.
James Levine selected Battle to sing in Mahler's Symphony No. 8 at the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra's May Festival in 1974. At first, this relationship seemed to be a match made in heaven, as this was a beginning of a friendship and close professional association between Battle and Levine that would last for over 20 years and resulted in several recordings and performances in recitals and concert performances, including engagements in Salzburg, Ravinia, and Carnegie Hall. Battle made her professional operatic debut in 1975 as Rosina in Rossini's The Barra of Seville with the Michigan Opera Theater in Detroit. She made her New York City opera debut the following year as Susanna in Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro. And in 1977 made both her San Francisco opera debut as well as Oscar and Verdi's Un ballo in Machera and her Metropolitan Opera debut as a shepherd in Wagner's Tannhäuser. The latter performance was conducted by none other than her friend James Levine. Battle made her Gwendoborn Festival debut and UK debut singing Nerina in Haydn's La Fedeltà Premiata in 1979. The Golden Years. By 1980, Kathleen was the it girl of opera. Throughout the 80s, Battle expanded her repertoire to recitals, choral works, and operas. Kathleen was living large and living the life of a superstar as her career sent her jet-setting around the world. Life was fast and fun and glamorous. Although Battle gave several critically acclaimed performances at the Metropolitan Opera House during the early 1990s, her relationship with the company's management had begun to sour. As Battle's status grew, so did her reputation for being difficult and demanding. Rumors swirled about her alleged diva-like antics and demands behind the scenes. In October 1992, when she opened the Boston Symphony Orchestra season, she reportedly banned an assistant conductor and other musicians from rehearsals, changed hotels several times, and left behind what a report in the Boston Globe called a, quote, froth of ill will. It was also alleged that Kathleen had a snooty side, as reports claim that one night when Kathleen felt a particular chill in the back of her limousine, she called her manager, who called the limousine service, who then called the driver to turn off the air conditioning. In February 1994, during rehearsals for an upcoming production of La Fille du Régiment, Battle was said to have subjected her fellow performers to, quote, withering criticisms and made, quote, almost paranoid demands that they not look at her. Perhaps one of the strangest allegations was that she requested that others not stare at her mouth while she sang. General Manager Joseph Volpe responded by dismissing Battle from the production for, quote, unprofessional actions during rehearsals. Volpe called Battle's conduct, quote, profoundly detrimental to the artistic collaboration amongst all the cast members, and indicated that he had, quote, canceled all offers that have been made for the future. Battle was replaced in Donizetti's La Fille du Régiment by Harlan Blackwell. At the time of her termination from the Met, Michael Walsh of Time magazine, yes, that very same Michael Walsh who had earlier said that Kathleen Battle was the best soprano in the world, reported, quote, the cast of The Daughter of Regiment applauded when it was told during rehearsal that Kathleen had been fired. After she sang with the San Francisco Opera, several backstage workers wore t-shirts that read, I survived the battle. Now that's cold. This turn of events and characterization of Kathleen as being, quote, difficult sent shockwaves throughout the opera community. Just like in any industry, if you're labeled as difficult to work with, then people will not consider you for further opportunities. You're essentially blackballed. Battle seemed to be surprised about such allegations of disagreeableness. In a statement released by her management company, Columbia Artists, Battle said, quote, I was not told by anyone at the Met about any unprofessional actions. To my knowledge, we were working out all of the artistic problems in rehearsals, And I don't know this reason behind this unexpected dismissal. All I can say is I'm saddened by this decision. Since then, Battle has not performed in any operas. Then, to add insult to injury, Kathleen took part in what should have been an amiable and milquetoast interview with a local reporter. The conversation began, like many celebrity interviews, with pleasantries and praise of their work, yet the reporter used Battle's lighthearted anecdote as an in for some difficult questions.
So from that moment on, I could feel the tension sort of between me and my seat partner. He had been reading for the whole first half of the flight. We were fine. All of a sudden, now, I became his best friend. And he wanted to know how I got into opera, how I started singing, how have I been doing this whole my entire life, and how do I manage to keep my voice, as you say, and flying. I said, well, one thing I try not to do is talk on airplanes.
Do you wish sometimes it'd be like a violin player who would just simply put the violin in a case?
Wouldn't that be nice?
In doing the best job that you can, I've read that you're a perfectionist, and you've got a reputation as being difficult to work with. Is that quality control? Is that you trying to be, you don't want to answer that question? I don't think that was a difficult question. I'm interested in how you maintain your quality singing.
Needless to say, this was the last this reporter would see from an indignant Battle. If we dive a bit deeper, we'll notice a foul stench. Something about this story seems derivative and cliche. Firstly, there's a long history of opera singers being characterized as divas. Derived from the feminine form of the Latin word divus, meaning goddess, the diva began as a widely celebrated opera singer, a woman with outstanding talent. The term is closely related to that of prima donna, meaning first lady, who was the leading female singer in the opera company and always got the best parts. Seems apropos, does it not? It is not far-fetched to say that Battle was very particular and precise about her craft. However, this particular disposition seems to be commonplace within the industry. Secondly, as a fair-skinned African-American woman in the entertainment industry, she particularly fits the mold of a femme fatale. Harkening back to the turn of the century when America was fresh off the heels of the First American War, advancements in technology and film specifically became a crown jewel of a country who gained a renewed sense of American pride.
Here, you can tune in this wonderful new Westinghouse television set.
Moving into the 1940s, we began to see more depictions of African American women on the silver screen. The first would be the Mammy character, most notably played by Oscar-winning actress Hattie McDaniel in films like Gone with the Wind. The Mammy character was a darker-skinned, heavy-set African-American woman who was matronly and took care of the home and children of wealthy white families.
Freckle, after buttermilk I done put on you all this winter, reaching in my freckles.
And then there was a fair-skinned femme fatale played by women like Dorothy Dandridge. The fair-skinned femme fatale was characterized as a sultry vixen who could not be trusted, an object of desire and contempt. She was a jewel, yet unattainable. She was praised for her beauty, charm, desirability, yet also detested for those same attributes.
I suggest that while you're on this ship, you wear something a little less revealing.
Does it bother the captain?
Let us know in the comments if you think Kathleen may have had a similar lot as her predecessors like Dorothy Dandridge, or if she was simply a diva. For the remainder of the 90s, Kathleen worked extensively in recording studios and on concert stages. Despite the onslaught of criticism, throughout the 90s, Kathleen released album after album and began to expand her collaborations in other genres like jazz. We interrupt this broadcast for a special announcement. Kathleen Battle's August 13th birthday means that her sun sign falls under Leo. Your sun sign represents how you present to the world. The fiery Leo is arguably the best sign. Okay, I'm a little biased because I'm a Leo, but that's besides the point. A Leo is characterized by their charisma, physical stamina, style, strength, and courage. They also tend to be talented in arts and love competition. Their negative traits are that they can also be prideful, attention-seeking, and inconsiderate of others' feelings. Kathleen's moon sign is Sagittarius, another fire sign. Your moon sign represents how you operate internally. Sagittarians are known to be passionate with a constant drive to improve and have new experiences. On the negative side, their need for constant stimulation may leave them bored or dissatisfied with their own circumstances. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Kathleen triumphs. In the early 2000s, while Kathleen did continue to perform and teach, her career hit a bit of a standstill. However, Battle proved that she was a force to be reckoned with. She has since expanded her repertoire and performed songs from the likes of Stevie Wonder and George Gershwin. In June 2001, Kathleen reunited with the beloved soprano Jessie Norman and performed Vangelis Mythodia at the Temple of Olympian Zeus in Athens, Greece. In October of that following year, she performed the song Miss Sarajevo with Alicia Keys, which was written by Bono. On April 16, 2008, Kathleen even sang an arrangement of the Lord's Prayer for Pope Benedict XVI on the occasion of his papal visit to the White House, which is the second time she had sung for the Pope. Later that year, she performed Superwoman on the American Music Awards stage with Alicia Keys and Queen Latifah. While Battle continued to perform in recitals and collaborations, she remained locked and loaded with her eyes firmly fixed on the target. Let's just say Kathleen understood the assignment. After her 22-year absence, the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City had decided that all that diva stuff was water under the bridge. In November 2016, Kathleen took her rightful place on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera House singing a concert of spirituals. Despite the storm and insurmountable odds, Kathleen had truly survived the battle. And that concludes today's programming. If you would like to learn more about inspiring people, subscribe to the channel and give that like button a click so that you get notifications when we post new content to the channel. Until then, stay inspired.